Greetings, fam. Welcome one more time, fam, to Kemet Renewal, fam. Just want to give thanks, fam, for all your feedbacks and for all those that requested more videos, fam, and more overstanding, fam. I really appreciate that, fam. In today's video, fam, I'll be discussing the principles of nature, and how they influence our human consciousness, you understand, and behavior of an individual, society, and nations as a whole, you understand. What I want you all to understand, fam, is that when we are talking about these principles or deity or gods, we are not talking of something that's outside of us. But remember, it's all energy, frequency, and vibration. Do you understand? So these are kind of like faculties, you understand, that are kind of like residing within each and every one of us, well, within our higher spiritual selves. Do you understand? It's like the functioning of the right brain. You understand? So I will use the story of Osiris so that I can better explain the functions, because we need to understand, fam, that that story, fam, is not just a story, like a physical story of an event. Do you understand? It's a metaphysical story. You understand? Hence I say most interpretation of the West in our mysteries is kind of like the use of logic. Do you understand? They don't actually understand these things as in like energies, as in like part of us, as in like faculties. You understand? So I'm gonna use the story of Osiris, because the story of Osiris, fam, you need to understand that it's more like the process of initiation. Do you understand? It's more like the process of the development of the higher spiritual self, or the attainment of the tuning within our inner spiritual beings. Do you understand? So I wanna kind of like explain the characters of the story before I even begin with it. I'm just gonna summarize the story. I'm not gonna tell the whole story, fam. I'm just gonna summarize it, then decode the story on what it actually means in terms of spirituality and our human consciousness. Do you understand? So in the story, fam, we know our main characters are Ausar, you understand, which is the king according to the story. Do you understand? So Ausar, spiritually, fam, is the faculty of wisdom. You understand? The indwelling intelligence. Do you understand? The divine. You understand? Hence, Ausar is also associated with Jehudi. Do you understand? And we need to understand that that's all spiritual faculties within us. Do you understand? So Heru, which is the sun, do you understand? But now, according to the story, it's the SON. Do you understand? Heru, the sun, is the will, the divine will of an individual. Do you understand? Which will? The will that you have to attain your higher spiritual being. Do you understand? So when we're talking of a hero on the story, you must understand that spiritual hero represents the will, the spiritual will that drive. Do you understand? Hence this faculty goes with Ma'at, yeah, understand, which is balance, order, justice. Do you understand? Which is, we need to understand that all these things, fam, are faculties that are within ourselves. Do you understand? So the third character is Saturn. Do you understand? So Set, according to the story, is the enemy of Ausar. Do you understand? Which is the divine intelligence, which is the divine indwelling. You understand? Intelligence, which is the spiritual self within. Do you understand? So when we are talking of set, we need to understand, fam, that set is the partially developed will. Do you understand? Set is the opposition in creation and assistance also in creation. But you're gonna better understand that when we are talking of these principles in terms of our cosmology. Because now I'm kind of like interpreting them according to the macrocosm. Do you understand? Because we are the microcosm, the little cosmos. But we're gonna understand all these things, fam. That's why we're gonna all. That's why we're all gonna understand why we have our own cosmology, why we have our own flat cosmology, and how does these all things kind of like tune together. Because we need to understand, fam, it's the law of correspondence. So above, that's below. So within, that's without. You understand? So another character of the story, fam, is Auset, which is the sister and wife of Ausar. You understand? So spiritually, Auset represent the devotion. When we are devoted, you understand? When the personality is devoted to the attainment or to the journey of enlightenment. You understand? That's the symbolism of Auset, of Auset. Because Auset need to understand that it gets married to Ausar, meaning that marriage is the union, mind and body. Do you understand? Left brain and right brain. Do you understand? So the fifth one is Nekhbet or Nephthys, which is the sister of Auset and the husband of Set, which also gives birth to Anubis when she mates with Ausar. Do you understand? Spiritually, what does this mean? Spiritually, this means the power of imagination. Our power of imagination. Because we need to understand, fam, that our imagination, fam, will manifest or will marry, do you understand, whatsoever that we focus on. Do you understand? So you're gonna understand this when I'm kind of like giving the summary of the story. That's why you're gonna understand it a little bit better. Do you understand? But I'll give just a short summary of the story. I won't tell the entire story, fam. You understand? So that we can just understand these these letters. Do you understand? And how this story is actually kind of like the initiation phase. Do you understand? How it's actually a representation or a metaphoric representation of the development or attainment or the tuning or the awakening of our spiritual selves. Do you understand? So how I'm gonna do this, fam, I'm gonna tell the story. Do you understand? Then tell the spiritual meaning of the story. So that's how I'm gonna try and break the story, fam, so that it makes it better, it makes sense. You understand? So when we're talking of Kemet in the story, fam, remember we are not just talking of Kemet as a physical place. We are talking of Kemet now as our bodies. Do you understand? So when Ausar arrived in Kemet, he found people that were previously living there or currently living there in a state of savagery, meaning people were living unconsciously. You know, people were living that warlike life. You know, they were fighting and having quarrels against each other. You know, but when Ausar came, he brought consciousness among the people. He brought civilization among the people. He brought a better way of life amongst the people. He improved the life of the people. Do you understand? He enlightened the people, you know, and brought a natural lifestyle to the people. Do you understand? Meaning, he introduced them into agriculture, introduced them into um, to the mining, which is the tilling of the earth. You understand? All the agricultural practices. You understand? All the art and science. And he wasn't alone. Do you understand? He wasn't alone. He was with Auset. You understand? That's why now Auset um and Auset and Isis actually fame are actually kind of like the same characters. Do you understand? They represent the same energy. You understand? So sometimes you'll just say Isis, sometimes you'll just say Auset. We need to understand this so that we don't get confused. Um, so when Auset and Isis, sorry, when Auset and Ausar came to Egypt and ruled the land, they brought prosperity among the people. Now people were no longer fighting against each other. Now people were having harmony. Now people were living kind of like consciously now. There were no longer wars, you know, everything was balanced. Do you understand? Meaning there were no longer quarrels now, brothers fighting brothers, tribes fighting against each other for whatsoever reason. Do you understand? So spiritually, fam, this story means when the divine self is not yet awakened, when your spiritual self is not awakened yet, you are kind of like living subconsciously, meaning you are ruled by the lower energies, you are ruled by the subconscious nature, you are ruled by the animal nature. Do you understand? Hence, you find that most people are kind of like hooked up into drugs, you know, alcoholism, cannibalism, all these weird behaviors. Do you understand? It's because we have not yet awakened your higher self. Do you understand? That's why we have a personification of that as Inja, an animal, because you don't actually kind of like have sense of reason. Do you understand? And you don't have the sense of I. Your life is not a life of, it's not, you're not living life that is purposefully. You're just living. You're not actually alive and aware. Do you understand? So when you start tuning into the journey of enlightenment, when you start to awaken your true divine self, it's whereby now your life start to kind of like change. Do you understand? Because now you start being aware of your own self and your own divinity. You start being aware of your own surroundings. Do you understand? Hence, this process of spiritual enlightenment, we always say that it's a process that is happening within your own self. Because before we can change an environment, before we can change a society, before we can even defeat evil among society, we must first defeat evil amongst each and every individual. Do you understand? Because when your higher self, when a spiritual being is kind of like tuned or kind of like in control of yourself, do you understand? When you are kind of like operating as a spiritual being, your life get to be prosperous eventually, because you manifest now what you already are within. Do you understand? Hence, it is very, very important to many of our ancient traditions to understand yourself as a spiritual being first, before you can embark in any journey or any field of life. Because fam, we need to understand that education, talents, and wealthy possessions are just kind of like subordinates. They just play subordinate role. But the main factor is understanding yourself as a spiritual being. That's whereby you tune now with the divine frequencies. That's whereby you tune now with the elements. You tune with nature now. That's whereby you understand now the essence of godliness. Hence, you will be peaceful among your own self. Once you have peace within your own self, you'll be able to have peace among others. Do you understand? Hence, we structured the way we structure civilization. Hence, the ancient Levity was the way it was. Do you understand? That's why there was harmony, because that is harmony, it was actually within. Do you understand? So the story continues like this, fam. When Ausar traveled, he kept on traveling, trying to spread the light. Do you understand? His brother said, try to be rebellious against his consciousness and his way of living and his teachings and his rulership. Do you understand? But he couldn't, because Auset was left in charge by Ausar. Meaning, when your personality is devoted, do you understand, to the enlightenment, the path of enlightenment, when your personality is devoted to the path of attaining your higher spiritual being, do you understand, most things change. By this film, you undergo the process that is known as the metamorphic. Do you understand? A lot of things that used to make you feel alive, all those things that used to kind of like make you feel like you are yourself, no longer resonate with you now. You kind of like feel like we are disconnecting to certain things, because we are changing now the frequency that you are kind of like in now. Do you understand? So your personality now, it changes. The way you do things, the way you think. Do you understand? It changes. The way you see reality changes now. The way you communicate with other people, the way you react in things changes. Do you understand? So there's this energy, fam. Remember that we're dealing with energies here. So set energy is that lower self, those energies of the lower self. It's either the subconscious programming or the cultural condition or the environment condition, it might be because of religious influence, it might be because of education. There are a lot of things that kind of like keep us in the lower self. There are a lot of energies that kind of like try to keep us programmed. Do you understand? When we are in this chain of enlightenment. Hence now, it is important to check your personality. You must understand your own personality. Because if you know the kind of being that you are spiritually, obviously, if inside you feel like a king, eventually, you're gonna manifest that in your outside reality. You're gonna start having a yard now that you are building and having all the natural environment that's kind of like represent royalty, all those kind of things. Do you understand? Because we are kind of like now tuning with who you truly are. So your personality should also be aligned with that, meaning your heart and your mind must be tuned, because you can't feel like this whereas you think like that. Do you understand? Because there's just no balance there. Do you understand? There's no real union, there's no marriage. You understand? Hence, Ausar left his wife, Auset, You understand? In the story. So um when when while Auset was away, you understand, Set trying to plot a way of kind of like executing him, meaning dethroning him, so that he can gain rule over the land. Do you understand? So um, Set plotted a party. You know, they created a ceremony party. I'll just use the terminology party. You understand, so that you can better understand this in this film. Um, he organized a party as a way of welcoming the king back. Do you understand? But he created a special chest. You understand? And this chest would only fit a body of the king, because he made the chest in the dimensions and direct measurements of the all the dimensions of the king's body. Do you understand? So he came with tricks. He said during the feast, you understand, while everybody was there gathered, feasting, and enjoying the drinks, So while everyone was kind of like caught up in the moment and everything, while people was getting drunk, all those kind of things. So Set said, here is the chest, because this chest was made so beautiful, because the force of deception, it's all the glitter, you know, all the glamour, all those kind of things, So everyone had an interest in this chest. Everyone desired this thing for themselves. Do you understand? So Seth said, whoever fits perfectly in this chest, it will be his chest. Do you understand? Then everyone that was there tried the chest, but they all tried all their tries and efforts just in vain, because this thing was directly made. It was purposefully made and designed for the king himself. So after realizing that, okay, no one's kind of like fitting into the chest, Seth then asked the king to try, and see if he won't fit in the chest. Yeah, well, the king did so, and while the king was inside the chest, and they saw that it fitted him, before he could wake up and come out of it, Seth and his accompanants, they sealed the chest. Do you understand? That's why now we have the symbolism of the tomb of Osiris. But we're gonna take that when we're talking about ancient symbolism. We're gonna understand now that journey of how is it a symbol of ascension. Do you understand? Because we need to understand them before you can become the new self. You need to kill the old self. Do you understand? But death is not death as in like death. It's rebirth. That's whereby now, according to the story, Seth took the chest and drove it away, down to the lower oceans and everything. Meaning, there are a lot of things that are kind of like deceitful. There are a lot of things that can kind of like trap the soul when it's trying to be in the process of ascension. Do you understand? So this scene fame of the story, spirituality means fame. There are kind of like many deceptions. There are kind of like many things that are done to keep the spiritual beings unconscious and unaware. Do you understand? This is the essence of the calcification of the third eye, of our spiritual eye, our first eyes. Do you understand? This is the essence of all the things that the system is doing to make sure that those that are spiritual, they don't attain their spiritual selves. Do you understand? Because if a society is ruled by spirituality or by spiritual being or by consciousness, obviously there will be balance, harmony there and everything. And whosoever that has evil means for that society cannot come, cannot penetrate. You can't have control over people that have self-knowledge. You can't have control over people that have self-understanding, that are tuned in divine with nature. Do you understand? So we need to understand, fam, that the system, fam, has been decalcifying us. You know, the system has been calcifying us. Sorry, do you understand? The system has been trying to keep our first eyes closed. Do you understand? They use this knowledge, do you understand, to kind of like trick us and keep us trapped in their matrix of control. You see, because we need to understand, fam, that set energy is the energy that keeps us grounded. And everything that the system promotes is everything that keeps us grounded. You understand? It's everything that keeps us in the lower realms, in the physical dimensions only. Do you understand? Hence they got all their life of illusion, luxury and everything, the way they use it actually. You know, because now this thing, there's not something that's starting within now. Start without. It's all the outside livities, all the world of Maya. You understand? So when Set tried to so when Set killed Ausar, obviously Ausar was killed by that because of the sophistication of breath. You understand? And that breath, that thing of breath being suffocated there in the chest, is the spiritual symbolism of meditation. Remember, fam, our spiritual higher selves are kind of like sustained and maintained through meditation, that state of awareness. Hence we got breathing techniques. Do you understand? Hence we got all those kind of different stages of meditation. Do you understand? Because we need to understand, fam, that meditation is not just meditation for the sake of asking for some things like prayer and everything. Because a lot of people like to say prayer and meditation is the same thing, but in essence it might be, but now the use is different. Because in meditation, it's not we're not hoping, we're not wishing, not asking. You know, we are actually tuning, we are setting our intention straight. You understand? We are kind of like creating our own reality. Do you understand? Because in meditation, fam, we need to understand that it's whereby now we are kind of like the cooks, you understand, of the pot. We don't expect to be dished out and given food on a silver platter. You understand? We are the co-creators with the divine that we are, so we can better manifest our reality and manifest our godhood and our goddesshood in our physical reality. You understand, fam? So when Auset, the wife of Ausar, heard about this, she went to a search for her husband. Do you understand? Because when she found her husband, she kind of like used her spiritual powers to heal her, to heal him. Sorry, do you understand? This is the spiritual meaning, that when you are kind of like tuned and stand firm in the path of enlightenment and self-development, there are certain gifts or powers or intuitions that arise in you. Do you understand? So that you can better deal now with the negative forces, with the energies of the lower chakra. You understand? So that we can better deal with the energies of the lower triangle. If we can use the triangle of Jehudi. Do you understand? So Auset, Auset's body was found by Auset, you know, and Set here that the body has been found. When Set here that the body has been found, Set search for the body. You understand? And try to scatter it now, you know, and he cut it into 14 pieces and scattered all those pieces. Do you understand? So now, what does this mean, fam? Now that means in order to fully attain your higher self, in order to fully attain the godhood, you need to understand, fam, that you must undergo the process of awakening or activating all those chakras. It's 7, those that are tuned with the physical body, the one that we use to control this car. Do you understand? And there are 7 higher ones, making them 14. But now we're just gonna talk about the 7 for now so that you can understand. But when Set cutted Ausar's body into 14 pieces, do you understand? It's whereby now, that means now, in order to fully attain your higher self, you must have been open these chakras. Hence there's a saying, there's a difference between knowing the path and actually going the path. Because when you go the path, it's whereby now you have undergone all these processes, all these inner cycles. Do you understand? Because that's the only way you can truly attain your higher self. It's not just a matter of attaining certain knowledge or having certain belief or faith. This is not an ism. This is not a cult. This is not something that is controlling your life or a way of controlling people's life. This is not something like, this is not religion, fam. This is not something that's religious. This is just a way of living. This is a way of living, the way we're supposed to live, even by nature. Because a lot of people confuse spirituality now with religion and everything, because people, fam, are confused to such an extent that they don't really care or understand what's right or what's wrong. They just think everything's just everything, which is the state of chaos. Fam, we need to understand that we are all in the process of rebirth. Hence there's these things that are happening within our societies. Hence there's these things that are happening on the world as an entire, as a whole. Do you understand? It's all something that's happening spiritually. This is something that is psychological, fam. Do you understand? Hence, I say, this ancient knowledge of understanding and spiritual awakening is potent, fam, so that we can heal ourselves with it. Do you understand? So that we can have balance. Do you understand? So that we can have peace and harmony. You know, because the world, fam, is sick. The world, fam, needs healing. And how are we gonna do that? Do you understand? Consciousness is real, fam. Spirituality is real, fam. We need to be serious about these things, fam. This is not something that I do for fun. Do you understand? This is not just something that I do because it's some sort of hassle or something like that, fam. You know, this is more like this is a divine duty, fam. We need to understand these things, fam. We need to be focused, fam. We need to be kind of like aware of these things. You understand? So when back to the story, when Set scattered and separated Osiris' body, you understand? Auset went again to the search of her husband's body. Do you understand? So this time around, she wasn't alone. She was with her sister. Do you understand? Her sister, which is Nephthys or Nephbet. Do you understand? Which is the imagination now, spiritually, which is the power of our imagination, the faculty of imagination. Do you understand? And as I said earlier, that Nephthys is the sister of Set. Do you understand? And also a sister wife of Ausar, when they give birth with Anubis. Do you understand? Which is the positivity. Do you understand? So we need to understand, fam, that sometimes in the spiritual path, fam, or when you're in the spiritual journey, fam, you will undergo a process of sorrow. You know, this path, fam, is a path that is very, 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 very kind of like hard, you know. Slowly, sometimes gets to be like depressing, you know. It's not a path that just, you know, like a lot of spiritual being like to talk of it, you know. It's a very, very, very rough path, fam, you know, because we need to understand when Auset or when Isis, you know, was mourning for her husband. Do you understand? That's whereby, fam, we have that strong desire, fam, of attaining a spiritual self. That's whereby, fam, we are in the state of nothing, fam, matters now in your life. You're sacrificing everything for the sake of attaining and tuning with the divine self. Do you understand? That's whereby now, fam, you are kind of like doing everything that you can. That's whereby now some of us were kind of like called crazy when we are kind of like in this stage, you know. We are regarded as crazy because nothing else matters. Do you understand? Everything that you do, every thought, every action, you know, everything you do now is devoted now to the attainment of your higher self. You want to tune with the spiritual being. That's the strive and all that search that the personality undergoes. Do you understand? Because we need to understand, fam, that we are going now from intellect into intuition. Do you understand? So that's all now, all those the problems that Isis undergoes. You know, it's the spiritual symbolism of all the travels that we go, the climbing of the Jacob's ladder. Do you understand? Because it's not easy to climb up, fam. It's not easy. Do you understand? So when Isis went to the search of her husband, now with the power of imagination now, which is Nephthys, her sister. Do you understand? Meaning now is the power of imagination in us spiritually. Because now, fam, your focus now, fam, is on the attainment of your spiritual self. Do you understand? Now we are being intuitive. Now we are having dreams. Now, we are having meeting people you've never seen in your dreams and having conversations, attending teachings spiritually. You are having all these things that are happening within your own self. You understand? Hence some people will say, bayaboniswa, bafikile emaphupheni. All those kind of things, fam, they are happening now because your imagination, your power of imagination now is kind of like tuning to the right brain, to the right hemisphere. You understand? Because now you are no longer just being intellect. No, because that's hence I say this is not human intellect alone. Do you understand? Because we have these intuitions now. We have these intuitions. That's whereby now Isis the second time is coming with her sister Nephthys on the search of Osiris. Do you understand? So when they go when sorry. So when Isis or Auset found Ausar's body in pieces, you understand, she tried to bring them together with the help of Jehoti, which is the divine intelligence. Do you understand? That's whereby now your higher self and the netters are functioning now with you. It's whereby now you're no longer doing things now just. You're doing things purposefully now. You understand now the divine laws. You're working now with the divine laws. Do you understand? Because we need to understand, fam, that either you are aware or not of the divine laws, our lives and the unfolding of life is governed by these divine laws. So Jehud now is the understanding of these divine laws. Do you understand? It's the understanding of how to work. Do you understand? Because we shouldn't be governed by these laws. We should be working with these laws or under these laws. Because as I said, they are divine laws. We don't have to be aware of them in order to be functioning with them. Either you are aware or not. You understand? So it's better to be aware of them. You understand? As it is important to be aware of the law in the system. Because if you're not aware of the law, you're gonna do things that are gonna get you into trouble. You get what I'm trying to say? So even spiritually, fam, because you need to understand, fam, that all these things, fam, they took from all this ancient understanding. It's just that now it's the spiritual side of it that they have cut out. Because as I said, that someone that has bad intention for the society, if you are trying to have control over people for your own good and you're trying to direct and subconsciously program the world into a certain direction, obviously, fam, you won't credit spirituality. You won't credit anything that will have to do with spirituality, that will have to do with consciousness, that will have to do with understanding of self. Do you understand? That's why the system has been giving us all this false knowledge. Do you understand? That's why they came with all this religion. That's why they hijacked religion and changed it into a weapon. Because now it came as a weapon. That's why we have this understanding of religion as something that came with the Western man, of which it's not something that they came with. No, fam, because we need to understand, fam, that religion is the realignment. Do you understand? Which is this process of enlightenment. But now, because the elites were trying to have control over the people, because now the elites were trying to have control over everything. Do you understand? So they use this knowledge to manipulate the reality. Hence it's called Saturn. The system is regarded as the system of sessions, because they're using this energy of Set. They're manifesting the energy of Set according to the story. Do you understand? Because they want things to be ruled without consciousness, without the essence of God, if I can put it like that. Do you understand? Because if there's no consciousness, fam, obviously there will be the world is currently in the state that is in now because lack of consciousness, because of lack of spirituality. Do you understand? That's the essence of the persecution of Eve. When they persecuted Eve, in Eden, that's why by now, because Eve is even, balance, it's feminine energy. And I'm not trying to say this gender wars of, I'm not trying to say females, power to the females, or all those kind of things. No, this is not that kind of understanding, fam. I'm trying to say this feminine energy is the symbolism of the spiritual reality. Feminine energy represents consciousness, the state of consciousness, the state of balance. Do you understand? But we need to find balance within both. We need both the masculine and the feminine in order for life to be better sustained. Hence we have Ankh. Do you understand? Hence we have Ankh symbolism, symbolizing both the feminine and the masculine, working in harmony and balance to manifest life. Do you understand? But we're gonna understand these things